The reasons why videos are being taken to the scenes of this crime is to ensure that even those that are there too are being monitored, to ensure that nobody tampers with exhibits, because as it were, those monies you're talking about are regarded as exhibits. So, and of course, we also do that to let people realize the kind of carnage we call corruption in our country, the way it goes. Unfortunately, many people may not like it. But again, as I said earlier in my first response, we have a duty to the general public to inform them, to let them know what is happening. There might be rooms for improvement, as I said, because I know, again, that in some other climes, maybe they will keep it until the trial. As an international lawyer, I had defended accused persons in other climes like the US, where often this type of recordings, video recordings, tapes, you get them during discovery. It's not something that you send to the general public or to the YouTube. But when the matter gets before the court, then the defense counsel will request for the evidence, and then of course it is the duty of the prosecutor to turn them over to the defense counsel. But I think in our society we want to do that because we are fighting corruption. We want to encourage whistleblowers. We want to encourage people to come up with information and to also let them realize that information being given by them, supplied by them, such pieces of information are being worked upon, and these are the results of the information. Again, we are looking at everything. Nobody is perfect. At some point, probably we'll sit down and reconsider some of these principles as well as the policies. But we want to ensure transparency, because part of the problem in our society, I said, is attitudinal. And looking at attitudinal problems, transparency, accountability, as well as rule of law, they all form part of the attitudinal problems in society. So we want to be the first to do that. We want to be transparent, we want to be accountable, and we want to also ensure that there is rule of law.
Okay, let me move to another issue. Now, some days ago, the Minister of Justice was before an ad hoc committee of the National Assembly, and he wondered about a particular bill, I think two bills actually, the Proceeds of Crime Bill 2016 and the Whistleblowers Bill, I'm sure. And he said it appeared to have stalled in the National Assembly, that it appeared work wasn't being done on it. From our records, you introduced that particular bill that has to do with the Proceeds of Crime Bill. What's up with that bill?
Well, with due respect to the Attorney General of the Federation, I think I beg to differ a little bit from his position. These bills have not stalled at all. Rather, they are moving progressively well on the floor of the House. The Proceeds of Crime Bill was introduced in the last assembly, and it was passed. But unfortunately, it did not receive the consent of the former president before his administration wound up. But after this, immediately this assembly was inaugurated, I reintroduced that bill. And the whole reason why we introduced the Proceeds of Crime Bill to the National Assembly, or we introduced it to ensure that the lacuna, the gray areas in the EFCC Act are taken care of.
Gray areas?
The gray areas, I will tell you, right now, the EFCC acts in personam. And when I say an act acts in personam, the meaning is that before you can seize somebody's property or get somebody's property to be confiscated, you have to sue the owner of that proceed of crime. According to Section 20 of the EFCC Act, as I said, before you can proceed to the issue of getting a permanent forfeiture of somebody's property, that person must have been convicted. And in all of this, the burden is on the prosecution, is on the EFCC to prove that person's guilt. And it is after the conviction that there will be a final forfeiture order. In order to prevent the person from meddling with that property before the final dispensation of the case, the EFCC can apply to court for an interim order, forfeiture order. And that's what we have most of the time.
Yeah, we keep hearing that phrase, interim forfeiture.
And that's why it is difficult for EFCC to turn over the monies recovered into the federation account. It cannot be done. Because you have to prove that person's guilt before you can do that. And it is after the conviction that the properties will now be ordered forfeited finally. But under the process of crime bill that we are doing right now, you don't need that. It acts in rem. That is an action against the property itself. We don't need the owner of the person. We don't need to sue the owner of the person. You don't need any action against the owner. We file an action against the property itself. And then, of course, once we have a reasonable suspicion that this is a process of crime, then we file an action in rem against that property. It is then the duty of the owner to establish the legality of the process, that, look, this is not a process of crime. And in any event, we don't, under the process of crime bill, it becomes law, we don't need that person to be alive. Even if it's not alive, and we can still trace the property to be process of crime, we can go after the property.
Okay, now let me take your own stance on the debate, the ongoing debate